All right. I can't wait to hear this conspiracy theory you have about abortion pills.
All right. So I have a conspiracy theory that I want to present to all of you. And you know what we say about conspiracy theories here on the show. They're just spoiler alerts for what we're about to learn in 6 months.
I'm going to sit back for this one.
So sit back, pull up your pants, wake up grandma for this story. If grandma's asleep on the couch, like say, grandma, wake up for this story because Clayton's about to lay forth a conspiracy theory. We'll see if he's correct on this one. So get ready. Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum keep proving us right on all of these conspiracy theories that we bring forth and tell you about, and then they end up being proven true. My conspiracy theory is about the abortion pill. Here we go. So this battle, here's my theory on this. This battle over Roe v. Wade, all of the Supreme Court drama that played out over the summer, was just cover for the real story now unfolding. We're now seeing it, and it's being done quietly because all of this was the drama that you're seeing on your screen. Like, this is the public-facing part of this. The real story, though, is behind the scenes in Washington and in the halls of the biopharmaceutical complex that we don't ever get to hear about. Big Pharma gets to fast track almost immediately abortion pills to the entire country. That's the real story. Stay with me on this. So on Friday, June 24th of 2022, the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, you'll recall. And within just a few minutes, the Biden administration already had in place a fast-track expansion plan to expand access to the abortion pill. Already, it was rolled out that afternoon. It was the abortion pill known as mifepristone. Mifepristone. I'm going to say that wrong all night. I apologize. There it is. Well, that's the sister pill as well, misoprostol. So they're taken in tandem. Mifepristone and misoprostol go hand in hand. You take them in tandem. Anyway, along with, we
could call them M&Ms, but that would be dangerous to get confused.
They hope you'll take them like M&Ms. That's the goal. Okay. That you just pound them like that. So the Biden administration already had in place this plan to fast track the expansion and expand access to this abortion pill, along with the government plan to get these abortion drugs out to people as soon as possible. Watch HHS.
Last Friday, President Biden announced the actions he is taking to ensure medication abortion is available to the full extent possible, and that women can travel safely from states where abortion is now banned to states where abortion is legal. Here's how HHS will support these issues. First, HHS will take steps to increase access to medication abortion. Federal law requires our programs to provide medication abortion in certain circumstances, such as the life of the woman, rape, or incest. Now, more than ever, it is imperative that all federally supported programs and services are complying with the law.
Yeah, get these things out as quickly as possible. Some legal scholars at the time were in fact advising the president, and still are, to treat abortions just like COVID and use emergency powers to get these drugs in the hands of women as soon as possible. Emergency use authorization. Where have we heard this before? And by the way, I did say women, not people who birth, just to be clear. So this is from Politico. Some legal scholars who favor abortion rights argue the FDA should assert that its drug approval decisions preempt actions by states to limit or ban use of mifepristone. The notion of preemption, which derives from the Constitution's supremacy clause, says that the federal law trumps state law when the two conflict. So use that power. Mm-hmm. In fact, nearly a year before Roe v. Wade, the Supreme Court decision, the Biden administration was already working with Big Pharma to do this ahead of time. In fact, here is the headlines. Biden administration eases access to abortion pills. This was already in the works to make it easier to get access to mifepristone, the abortion drug. Yes, in 2021, they did this. The Biden administration changed the rules so you no longer needed to pick it up in person. You could order it on the internet, have it shipped right to your front door, courtesy of Big Pharma. Additionally, and perhaps coincidentally or not coincidentally, a series of YouTube videos suddenly surfaced touting the benefits of using mifepristone and its partner drug, misoprostol, which are taken in tandem. So these videos build up Google juice so that when you search for this drug, these videos dominate the search results. And see these on your screen here. You notice the 1 year, 1 year, 1 year. They all just magically popped up. All favorable videos, by the way. Like, this is great. What is it? With like cute little pictures of pills. You know, how taking managing your miscarriage. Oh, that's what we're calling it. Here's how we do it. These videos were all produced by Yashoda Hospital Group, the Yashoda Hospital Group. Now, we could make a whole separate video on the massive for-profit hospital system, Yashoda Hospital Group, out of India. But for now, we'll just mention that they teamed up separately with Mark Zuckerberg's Metaverse to become the first virtual hospital and virtual clinic in Mark Zuckerberg's Meta virtual world. So here's Yashoda Hospitals. You can just walk right up and in Mark Zuckerberg's virtual world and go right to a virtual clinic. You know, need an abortion pill? Need any sort of counseling? Just do it right inside of inside the metaverse. Come to our virtual walk-in clinic. And put on your VR headset to do it, by the way. So you get the full immersive experience. You can walk around in your rainbow-colored shirt, hang out. So that's one part of this thread. The other part is the adverse reactions of these medications and why we never hear about it. And it's almost like the suppression around COVID-19 vaccines. So to set the stage, Dr. Peter McCullough reminded us that it doesn't take much at all for the FDA or other, countries' health services like the NHS to step in and pull these drugs off the shelf, right? When there's an adverse effect. In fact, you can count them on one hand usually, these adverse effects, when one patient dies or two patients die, very minimal from using these drugs, they pull them off the shelves. But not with the abortion pill.
Or birth control.
Or the birth control pill, which it's all tied together. I mean, it's all part of this whole plan, right? So the adverse effects from mifepristone, the brand name Mifeprex, are cataloged deeply on the FDA's website. This is the FDA.gov. Here's a video. Here's actual footage this afternoon as I'm going through the FDA's website. You can see the post-marketing adverse effects events of mifepristone. You can see how many deaths? 28 deaths. The estimated number of women who have died using mifepristone in the U.S. for medical termination of pregnancies, an estimated number of women has 5.6 million women have used it to terminate pregnancies. 5.6 million. And 28 women have died. Ectopic pregnancies, 97. But the list, as we scroll further down, is unbelievable because it shows thousands of adverse events as a result of it. Just look at the list of adverse events. Severe cystic fibrosis, some people, lung infections, had to have a lung transplant or someone with a lung transplant, respiratory decompensation with secondary pulmonary infection 30 days after mifepristone in a patient on the lung transplant list with diabetes. There's tons of adverse effects on here. Thousands, as you can see on this list here. And just in the past year, 2 additional deaths have been added to the agency's reported deaths attributed to the abortion pill. The FDA report also shows that the Biden administration and Big Pharma are getting their way. The estimated number of women who have used this now for medical termination of pregnancies through the end of June 2022 was approximately 5.6 million. And that was an increase of 14%. 70,000 additional women in this past year started using this drug. 14% increase from 4.9 million the year before at the end of June 2021. So that's a 14% increase. Let me repeat that. The number of women who have used the drug to terminate a pregnancy through the end of June 2022 is 14% higher than it was the year before. The reason I point out the June 2022 part is because the numbers had already increased 14% before the Supreme Court decision. So this was not because of the Supreme Court decision. This was before the Supreme Court decision overturning Roe v. Wade. So again, all planned. And then last night, the Biden administration took things one step further and made this stunning announcement. Watch.
For the first time, retail pharmacies will be allowed to offer prescribed abortion pills in the U.S. The FDA announced the regulatory change on Tuesday, which could significantly expand abortion access through medication.
So it won't stop there. The eventual goal, of course, is selling them over the counter wherever you go, to gas stations, airports, nightclubs, vending machines. And it doesn't matter how many women are affected by the abortion pill. They only care about the profit. How many adverse effects doesn't matter. Just like the birth control pill, they don't care. And they won't talk about it. They won't talk about the blood clots. They won't talk about the strokes. They won't talk about any of that. We've been covering on this show how the eugenics program of the early 1900s never went away. They've simply evolved with the help of the biopharmaceutical complex to make it easier and more convenient to control the population, while at the same time, Big Pharma can make trillions of dollars off of that control. The World Economic Forum and the billionaire class want population control, and they put their money where their mouth is. The company that makes the drug mifepristone is called Danco Laboratories. And many people have tried to figure out who owns this company. Good luck. Who's running the show at Danco Laboratories in Manhattan? We don't know. They're incredibly secretive about its stakeholders, but Carol Novelli has been shedding light on it, and she's been researching this deeply. She discovered the population control champion Warren Buffett is a huge funder of Danco Laboratories, and it's not surprising. Also on the list, George Soros is another major investor. Yes, another huge fan of population control. Huge fans of the World Economic Forum and that mission. So we could keep pulling this thread, and we will, but for now, that's all I'm going to say about this, my conspiracy theory. That's all I'll say about the deep state money and all of this, and the World Economic Forum agenda on this. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Like, let me know in the comments below. Am I close on this? Am I wildly off base?
So what you're implying is that the Supreme Court ruling was intentional and could have been intentionally pioneered by the biopharmaceutical complex in order to expand access of abortion through pharmaceuticals rather than abortion through
clinics,
clinical procedures,
right,
which do not actually involve a pharmaceutical usually.
Right. So clinics, none of these doctors actually, I've seen interviews, they don't actually want to be performing these things, right? So it gets them off the hook for having to do them. The clinics then don't have to be.
Right. It also makes their lives safer.
Safer. The doctors don't want to have to do them, right?
Yeah.
The clinics don't have to worry about security. And then it gives huge trillions of dollars to the biopharmaceutical companies to be able to, to do it.
If you think of it too, it cuts out the doctor. The doctors are the ones that are facing the penalties potentially for doing this in states where it's not allowed. But the pharmaceutical companies generally have clauses in their contracts that don't allow that. And did you say that this was under the emergency use also?
No, I said that legal scholars were trying to basically get the Biden administration to use the federal authority almost as an emergency, like using almost the similar authority through these shady authorizations, not just the emergency use authorization, but as we featured in the first segment on the show tonight, there's like multiple shady authorizations, not just one that they get to use and that like the Pentagon has used for COVID vaccines, so that you could put these under that for like emergency. We got to get these out to the states for human health care for women, right? We got to get these things out there. And they could put it under that auspices. And so a bunch of legal scholars have been championing the Biden administration to do this.
Yeah.
So there is incentive.
Well, think about it too, well, I was going to say, like with the doctors. So the doctors are off the hook, and the doctors can then say, if somebody goes in there like, hey, we can't do it because it's illegal in the state, but I heard there's some medication you can get. And again, like the pharmaceutical company is never held on the hook for anything that they have. So therefore, it just makes it so pretty much anybody can do it. And the doctors are safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you see like some of the YouTube videos out there are actually crazy. They're like, how to have how to do this thing at home. Like, hey, now you can do it at home. Like DIY. Like you don't even need a clinic.
And it doesn't care what gender you are. You can take it if you're a man or a woman, right?
Right.
Right.
Just do it from the safety of your own home.
But you think that the Supreme Court justices were like that there's a possibility? Because, Most of the cases that the Supreme Court takes on are corporate cases, and most of the time they rule in favor of corporations.
Almost always.
The sexy ones that we know about, gay marriage or
abortion,
or universities, admission practices and things like that, are few and far between. What the Supreme Court is actually busy with, they're normally doing is advocacy for corporations.
Yeah, the headline making cases never get to see. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna say, and add to your conspiracy, like the fact that the first time in history that was leaked before it happened. You know what I mean? Like, so why was that? Because they knew that it would get the public in outrage, so that there would be more people like, oh, there's a solution.
Yeah. We've already got a solution ready to go. We've already drafted a whole framework about how we're going to get these pills out more quickly to all of you.
Yeah.
So we knew that this was coming, and they knew it was happening months ahead of time. They knew that this groundwork was being laid. So there's my conspiracy theory.
Okay. Well, it's not a non-zero possibility.
Yeah,
it is a non-zero. It's a non-zero possibility.
So you're telling me there's a chance,
right? It's not outside of the realm of possibility, is what I'm trying to say.
I'm 100% with you on it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for watching this segment here at Redacted. We are live every day at 4 p.m. Eastern time, trying to share the stories that the mainstream media will not cover. You should also come over and join our community of Redacted Rebels over at Redacted.inc. That's our private locals community where we can share exclusive content that we simply cannot share here on YouTube. Come over and join the rebellion together right now by going to Redacted.inc. We'll see you next time.